Hi. Before I talk about the subject I want to talk about, let me just quickly mention something that is important and that most of us are feeling. These are difficult times. The lockdowns are very depressing times, frustrating times, times that make us angry sometimes. And we need to be able to realize that these are the normal effects that affect every human being. Many of us have got families, and we are away from our families. Some are completely away from their families, some are partially away from their families, but nevertheless we are away from our loved ones, and that has an impact as well on how we think and how we behave and how we process ideas. So let us bear that in mind and find something that would occupy our time in a positive, in a productive way. I think that's very important. In my case, I love to cook. Well, that's something I find to be obviously very productive. But you may decide to do something else. I like to take films. Today I will be going out to take some films of this beautiful city, Fathia, although at this point in time there is a shortage of people in the streets. Whether that is good or bad is depends on which side you're on. But I will be taking the films of that, and something to occupy ourselves. Writing is something that I'm also engaged in, and of course making these clips, video clips for my family mainly. Now, on the subject that I wanted to talk about today, in our faith of Islam, we have two types of wrongs. There are none other. They are the entire system of wrongs is based on two wrongs: wrong against the rights of God and wrongs against the rights of people. There is no other wrong in this. And wrongs against the rights of people, governments, authorities, ruling authorities are obligated to ensure that those wrongs are righted, or those who are vulnerable to wrongs being committed against them are protected. We have the right to intervene in wrongs against the rights of people. It is not just the right, but the obligation to intervene, not us individuals sitting here, but government authorities. And I'm not going to go into which type of governments and the legitimacy of that. That's not the purpose of this conversation. But government authorities, whichever way they have reached that level, they are obligated to ensure that the rights of people are protected, and where these rights of people are violated, appropriate measures of retribution, not revenge. Many people make a mistake of not being able to make that distinction between retribution and revenge. Qisas and intiqam. Qisas in Arabic is retribution, which has a process of law to be followed. Intiqam is revenge, which is not allowed under any circumstances because it has no process of law that will end with the person involved in the crime to be held accountable. In the process of revenge, you just go and do what you like against that person. We don't do that. That's not legitimate under any circumstances. But retribution, we are talking about retribution, qisas. Now, wrongs against the rights of God, those are usually spiritual wrongs, because the relationship between God and people is a spiritual one. There is no material relationship between us and God. We do not have any, God does not have material benefits from us. And therefore his expectations or his rights are based strictly on spiritual matters. And because this spirituality of relationship between man and God, or between people and God, is a private matter of between God and the person. No authority of government has been given the power or the right to punish. You cannot punish or hold accountable somebody who violates the rights of God. You have no such authority. No government has the power to tell you why you don't fast, you do this, why you don't pray, you do this, why you don't go to Hajj, you have to be punished in this way. There is no provision in our faith of Islam that enables or gives any government any authority to punish anyone who has committed a wrong against the rights of God. For two reasons. Reason number one is that wrongs against the rights of God, you are inferior, God is superior, and the superior does not expect or depend on protection from the inferior. In His glory, God does not expect or require protection from you. Number two, and this is very, very important, you may punish somebody who has, in your view, committed a wrong against the right of God. What if God wants to forgive that person? You have already hijacked God's right to forgive by punishing the person. Therefore, there is no pleasure anymore for forgiving, because the person has already been punished. The only point where there is a combination between the right of God and the right of people is in the matter of zakah. Zakah is a ritualistic right, spiritual right of God, but it is also the right of people, because that portion of your wealth, which is in the form of zakah, does not belong to you. It belongs to the beneficiaries, the needy, the people who qualify to receive it. And if you do not give it to them, you are actually robbing them of their rights. And therefore the government has the right, or in fact the obligation, to intervene and take that zakah from you in order to distribute it to the places where it is legitimate to distribute. Other than zakah, there is no other combination between the right of people and the right of God. These are two separate rights. You might say that, well, it is the right of God. If somebody is killed, it has violated the law of God. Yes, but in that sense, that is where the authority of the government comes into play to punish that wrong which has been committed against that individual. What God does after that is in the right of God to do as He pleases with that person. But on the question of the right of people, it is the obligation of the government and the right of the government to punish, but it is not the right of the government or the obligation of the government to punish wrongs that are committed against the rights of God. So all this that you see in various so-called Islamic societies, where people who do not go to pray or go to perform certain rituals are being held accountable, all that is wrong. It is a violation of Islam. It is a violation of the law of Islam, because no human being has been given the right to punish anyone who violates the rights of God. Wrong committed against the rights of God are only God's affair. They are not human affairs. This is a cardinal rule in Islam, which we tend to forget, and of course our government authorities, because they want to pretend they are more royal than the king, they come and punish you because you have not done this ritual or that ritual. That is not the issue. And we will talk on a separate occasion about the right of an individual to have to convert or to go into a different faith. I have written about that maybe about 15 years ago, when that Afghanistani converted to Christianity, and I protected him. I wrote it, I think it is in a Khalij Times article, when I wrote defending his right. That was maybe about 15 or 20 years ago. I don't remember now. But I wrote defending his right to change his religion and defending the right of any individual to change their religion under Islamic law, and showing that this was done during the time of the Prophet, that people changed their religion and the Prophet never took steps against that. That's a different matter, a different subject, and a different conversation. But for now, this is what I wanted to point out, that wrong against the rights of God, you have no right to interfere. Wrong against the rights of people, it is your obligation as a government to interfere and to intervene and protect. Thank you very much.